Hello, my fellow chiropractors. Today we're going to talk about all things perinatal phase of life and how the nervous system affects all of that. Usually as chiropractors, a lot of the times we love to rage against the machine, right? We love to get mad. We're upset about pharmaceutical companies, whatever it may be. And I'm just generalizing here. But a lot of the times we stay in that phase instead of saying, okay, what are we going to do about it? So I have one little part of this talk is going to be us just really raging against the machine, getting a little bit mad, but then we are going to find solutions. So to start, why is prenatal and perinatal care so medicalized? I don't know if you've noticed, and if you haven't, this is the time to start to get that little pit in your stomach, to be a little bit upset or really upset and start to make a difference as pediatric and perinatal chiropractors. If you don't know what perinatal means or you're not familiar with it, let's talk about it. So perinatal means that preconception phase. So before conception, where husband and wife are really trying to be the healthiest they can be. Their eggs are getting better for the woman. The male is working on his sperm quality, all of those things just to be the healthiest they can be. Then pregnancy, and then that postpartum phase of life. So all of that is the perinatal surrounding, if you want to go back to like roots of words and what they mean. So that's what we're talking about today. But why has it become so medicalized? Well, let's go through some stats here and it might start to make sense. In America, we are number one for emergency care. Great, awesome. If I'm in a car accident, if I do truly need an emergency C-section or someone needs to save my life, I am so grateful that I'm in America. But the stat that is truly unacceptable is that we are number 55, which is dead last in developed countries for maternal and infant mortality rate. That's crazy. We should not be dead last if we're number one in emergency care. But what that tells us is that we are so incredibly good at tweaking things or at messing with things to make them an emergency because we feel really comfortable in that spot. And a lot of the times as Americans, again, generalizing in the American healthcare, there is so much messing with things because we don't like to be hands off and just let nature do what it's supposed to do. So another stat we can talk about is that America spends close to $100 billion on birth per year. So if you follow the money too, it's starting to make sense. This one, I don't think will shock you, but maybe when you hear the dollar amount, you'll be like, oh my goodness, we need to do something about this. But the fertility market, guys, in 2022 was $7.9 billion with a B, billion dollars. And then in 2028, it's estimated to be $16.8 billion. That's crazy on something that should happen normal. Obviously, there are a lot of different aspects that we could dive into the fertility world with, but it should not be such a problem that we have to spend or they have to make $16.8 billion off of it. Now let's keep going. 1 in 3 women are induced. Then we have 75% of American women receive an epidural now. 75%. And then 1 in 3 women now have a C-section, which the World Health Organization recommends that only 10 to 15% of those should be true medical emergencies. So what is happening, guys? And then 1 out of 7 American women experience a postpartum mood or anxiety disorder. And then right after they have a baby, 6 weeks later, 65% of women are put back on that hormonal birth control. A lot of those stats really do get me fired up because we are really, really inserting ourselves into something that should be way more natural. Now, hear me out. Obviously, we cannot control everything that happens in pregnancy and birth, and we do need true medical emergency staff to come on board and help us, and they do save mom and baby's lives, and I am so entirely grateful. So when we talk about this, don't think that I'm bashing that too and just think everyone should have a free birth. There should be nobody. No, I do not believe that everyone should have a free birth or everyone should have a home birth. I do believe that emergency care is put into place for a reason. That being said, we are messing way too much with it. I have heard so many times in our office of like, oh yeah, I just got induced. And I'm like, oh, when's your baby's birthday? And they're like, oh, it's like July 2nd, but I wasn't due until July 6th. And I'm like, I'm wondering if that OB would love to take off for the 4th of July weekend and go on their boat and go, do all of those things. Doesn't matter what they're doing. Or around Christmas time, a lot of babies are born before or after Christmas. A lot of scheduled inductions and C-sections happening for the convenience of the doctors and nurses instead of for when baby truly should come. So this cascade of events that we just went through of you start with fertility struggles, then you are finally able to get pregnant, then you have a lot of ultrasounds during that pregnancy, a lot of tests being done on mom and baby, for fetal monitoring is occurring, all of those different things. Then mom might think she's in labor. She goes to the hospital and they're like, well, you're not progressing very much, but we can induce you to get that going. Then induction happens or it was scheduled, but then the Pitocin that's given during an induction is not the same as oxytocin. It's supposed to mirror that love hormone that we have, but with Pitocin, they can't control how much you're getting each contraction. So every single contraction is the same of boom, 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 over and over and over. And that is putting baby in so much stress. A natural labor should be a few booms. Maybe they're a little bit, they're always ebbing and flowing together, so like a dance. And so with Pitocin, it's not the same. It's boom, 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 boom. That being said, baby is now stressed out. We see the heart rate go down. Maybe mom's in so much pain because those Pitocin contractions are so entirely much stronger. And so then she's like, I need that epidural. Please give me that epidural. We know that the epidural has a lot of different toxins in it that can flow from mom to baby. Baby's heart rate is dropping, and that's when the medical system actually does have to do an emergency C-section to get baby out because mom and baby are both in so much stress. We see this with the nervous system too, of when you truly start your own labor, you should be in a parasympathetic nervous system state. So that rest and digest, that's when mom will go into labor. To get baby out, gas pedal has to be on for both mom and baby. And then after, during that golden hour where mom and baby, if they're both entirely stable, they should not be touched. They should not be getting their vitals checked. They should not be getting, monitoring or vigorously rubbed down or anything like that. They should totally be skin to skin, working on that latch, working on getting to know each other. And so that's when that brake pedal, the parasympathetic nervous system, turns back on. So we are always ebbing and flowing between the nervous system. And if mom and baby's nervous system was not trained to do that during pregnancy or even prior to pregnancy for mom, then it causes a lot of stress in labor. And so that's where us as perinatal chiropractors come in, is that we should be totally focusing on the nervous system. And I'm going to show you why here. Let's talk about, so what we just talked about to review of all of that cascade of events, we as PX docs, we call that the perfect storm, right? It's just that perfect storm of all of these interventions and cascades from fertility struggles to labor struggles to emergency C-sections or vacuum extraction or forceps, any of those things. And now baby has difficulty latching or breastfeeding, colicky babies, reflux happens, constipation occurs, we have eczema, we have respiratory challenges. There's so many things that happen, chronic ear infections, allergies, and then baby starts to grow up. Maybe they're going to school now and we start to see some ADHD or sensory issues, some speech delays. All of these things all come and make up the perfect storm. So what can we as chiropractors hopefully do to prevent this perfect storm? Again, obviously, we cannot control everything that happens, but what is in our control is that we can help mom and baby have that adaptable and resilient nervous system so that whatever stress comes their way, if a C-section is needed, if, latching doesn't go as planned, or they are having constipation issues, any of that, that baby and mom can be the most adaptable to all of that stress that's happening that they didn't necessarily choose to happen, but maybe they can choose how they react to it. So I want to go through how do we understand the nervous system and what is the importance of this balance. As PX docs, we always refer to gas versus brake. So for simplicity, there are two sides of the autonomic nervous system. There's the sympathetic nervous system, or that fight or flight, that gas pedal, go, go, go. If a bear is coming at me, I want to be able to run or climb a tree or fight, whatever it may be. Those are the hormones of adrenaline, cortisol that I'm getting in that gas pedal state. Now, the opposite side, and the state that our nervous system should be most of the time, is that parasympathetic nervous system. So that rest, digest, relax, regulate, reproduce side, that's what we call the brake pedal side of the nervous system. You want to be in that state almost all the time unless you have to be in fight or flight. And if you are running from that bear, later on, your nervous system should be able to take a breath, say, okay, I'm looking around, I am totally and completely safe, and perceive everything as safety, and get back into that parasympathetic nervous system state. Now, the problem is that most Americans, most women are totally stuck in a fight or flight state where they could even be sitting on the couch watching a show like The Office where they don't really have to think, they should be laughing, and their body thinks that they're running from a bear. Now, if we are never getting unstuck from this gas pedal side, what happens if a car is just go, go, go? They're going to run out of gas. And that's the same thing that happens within our bodies, is that if our adrenals are totally stuck on stress, producing all of those cortisol and adrenaline hormones and all of those things all the time, we're going to run out of gas and be so tired that we don't even want to be making a baby or housing a baby. And so what happens in fertility that we see a lot of the times is the nervous system also has two different pathways called the HPA axis and the HPG axis. So on the gas pedal side is where HPA lives. That's your hypothalamus to your pituitary to your adrenal glands. So that's the pathway it takes when you are in fight or flight. And then the brake pedal side is going to be your HPG, your hypothalamus, pituitary, and gonads, or your reproductive organs. So that's going to be where your progesterone is shooting out, where your estrogen, where testosterone is coming. All of those reproductive hormones are going to live in the brake pedal side of the nervous system. So the nervous system has to feel safe. It has to be in that brake pedal in order to create and sustain life. The big kicker here is that both HPA and HPG cannot be on at the same time. So if we have a mama or someone who's trying to conceive and they have been completely stuck on the gas pedal, their reproductive organs are not shooting out the hormones they need to create and sustain a baby. It's very intelligently designed in the fact that your body doesn't want to be keeping you in survival mode and then have to keep a baby living and breathing and growing and developing. It can't happen. So it can't happen at the same time. So we have to teach these mom and dads' nervous systems to be able to flow from gas and brake. So that's what I wanted to go over today. And hopefully you all understood what the nervous system's role is in that perinatal phase. It is so entirely important, guys. And as chiropractors, we cannot keep hammering on sciatica and back pain and round ligaments and pubic bone pain and even breech babies. We have to, all of that is so entirely important. I've been pregnant before. I had a little bit of back pain and I had all those things, and I absolutely love that chiropractic care can help with that, and it is so important. But what we should be preaching is that by regulating mom's nervous system, we are able to tap into baby's nervous system. That umbilical cord, it's not just for oxygen and nutrients and blood supply. All of that, yes, of course, so entirely important, but it is also a pathway for mom's nervous system to send the blueprint of what baby's nervous system should be built upon. I hope that you heard that correctly. Whatever the state of mom's nervous system is, baby is getting. So we want mom's nervous system to be the most adaptable and resilient to anything that comes her way, so that baby is built and developing off of what mom's nervous system is, and that it is an awesome blueprint for them to go on through life without developing this perfect storm, but instead being able to fight off all of those stressors, be adaptable, and be resilient. So as chiropractors, you have such a big responsibility, especially as a neurologically focused, right? Again, it's totally not about all of those back pain, sciatica, all those things anymore. Guys, this is bigger. This is about the nervous system. This is about helping so many kids be the best that they can be and have the best life that they can have. We'll see you on the next one. And make sure to check out the Family Practice Podcast for more videos like this, for more content like this. We are so excited. Also follow us at The Pediatric Experience. See you guys next time.